Welcome to Surflight Theater Previews. Today we've got a show, and all of you are going to remember this. I just know that because we've all seen it, especially that one scene, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. Flashdance. That's right, Flashdance, the new offering here at Surflight Theater. I'm Al Paradello. Sitting next to me is Steve Steiner, the producing artistic director of Surflight Theater. This is an interesting show, Steve. Just totally interesting. Because, and the first thing that I'm taken by, the movie was incredibly successful. It just went around the world. Everybody loved it. Everybody thought it was an amazing movie because of that scene. But we'll get to that a little bit later. But I just don't understand why it never played on Broadway.
Well, you know, it's played in London. It's played all over the country.
Everywhere.
Oh yeah, all over the country, and it's really right for us. We last year we did Saturday Night Fever, and it was the most successful in terms of box office show of the season. There's a real desire to get back to that particular era, the '80s, you know, and this movie, this film, defined fashion for a generation. You know, right after the movie, everybody was cutting their T-shirts and their sweatshirts, and they were wearing the leg warmers and the whole bit. It really defined fashion for that generation, just like Grease kind of like took over a few years before that, and everybody was so enthralled with Grease.
Culturally important.
Very much
no
so.
doubt about it.
Very much so.
So let's talk about a little bit about the show. First of all, it takes place in Pittsburgh. The setting is 1983, and there's this 18-year-old girl. Now, I'm assuming that you need this information because I remember the movie, and you know, when I started researching it, everything came back to me immediately. So she's got the strangest job in the world. She's a welder in a steel factory.
And in 1983, that was really unusual for a female welder.
Yeah, I would imagine. I mean, today it's unusual, but you'll see more of that because of the advancement of you know, the empowerment of women. But back then, 1983, so there's this beautiful, beautiful girl, 18 years old, who's a welder in a steel factory. So that's by day, but by night, she's a flash dancer. She takes over the world. That's the real her. That's what she really wants to do. And by day, she's just making the money to make that dream come alive. Now, how can that dream come alive? She's got to study. She's got to study dancing. And there's something that sort of gets in the way. Her boss. Her boss is starting a romantic type of relationship with her. And needless to say, the antics that come are rather interesting. But Steve, I think, once again, like so many shows here at Surflight, the winner is the music.
Oh, this has a tremendous score, obviously. You know, Maniac and so many of them.
Yeah, I gotta really hear. What a feeling.
What a feeling.
Gloria.
Yeah.
Gloria, one of the great songs. I love rock and roll. I mean, it comes out of this movie.
Yeah.
It's truly, I mean, you'll be dazzled by the numbers, the musical numbers, and the dancing. This particular year, this guy has gone out and found some of the greatest dances on earth. You have no idea what's going on this stage until you see these productions. But and congratulations on that. I mean,
Thank you.
I sit in this audience and I'm just appalled by the amazing stuff that I'm seeing. How did this happen?
Well, we audition a lot of people. This year we auditioned about 2,000 people for there's 21 in this show. 21 people in this show.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that means you turned down 1,980 people, Steve.
Well, I suppose so. It's you know, it's not
what do you
necessary.
say to these poor people?
Well,
do you feel horrible about that?
No, it's the nature of the business.
Do you send them a letter? Do you send them something?
We know. We attend several combined auditions, the A1 auditions and the Straw Hat auditions in New York, where there's 40 or so employers seeing all of these auditions. Wow. I know the A1 auditions, there was like 800 or 900 people we saw. And so if we don't necessarily do a callback with them or offer them a job, there may be one of these other employers that are there that might say, oh, that's the person for me.
You made me feel a little bit.
Everybody's looking for different things. For instance, a season someplace else might need really strong singers because maybe they're doing operetta as opposed to the dancers that we need for our shows. And so people come in with different skills.
You're beginning to get a sense of what an artistic director does and how an artistic director thinks. It's an amazing combination of talents. Seriously. I mean, because you take good care of people, and yet you allow others to find the talent as well that you can't particularly use in this particular production. So, to me, as the owner of the theater, I sit back and I learn from this guy all the time. It's a combination of 1,000 different stars that have to align to just get any production on this stage. And I honestly don't know how you do it. I think it's much easier being the owner of the theater. So we talked about this scene. We talked about this magical scene. This magical scene is the thing that most people will say when they hear the word Flashdance. It's the scene that made the movie. It's the scene that got all the reviewers excited. It's the scene that people wait for. It comes at the end of the first act. And it's quite an amazing scene. You want to tell us about it, Steve?
It's just, you dump a bucket of water on it.
It's a beautiful lady sitting in a chair, silhouetted, and she gets a bucket of water thrown at her. And the music reaches a crescendo, and everybody's heart is palpitating. And you just wonder what soaking a beautiful, wet female steel worker, what that does to get you ready for the next scene. It's quite an interesting idea, but it works very well.
Fortunately, it's at the end of the first act, so you can
wipe up.
Exactly. I mean, it's Singing in the Rain. It happens the same way. It's at the end of the first act, the big scene,
and
the rain
you
scene.
And I did Singing in the Rain together
In 2004.
That's right.
That was the first Atlantic City. That was our first production together at Broadway on the Boardwalk, and that was the first show of that series.
Yeah, and that scene, I remember when that curtain opened and the rain was coming down, and you would hear the audience would go, oh, how did we go outside? They opened the curtain and we're out in nature. It was just beautiful. And what a job, what a beautiful scene. This is the equivalent of that. A bucket of water on a beautiful lady. Try it at home. It's a great way to get divorced. But at any rate, you'll love. Let me tell you what the Atlanta Journal said about the show. They said, by the way, it played in all over the country in 2011 to 2014. So although it never got to Broadway, and I could understand why, because it's so complex, such intricacies go on. It's almost, I think everyone was afraid to put it on Broadway.
Well, there's a thing that sometimes people feel that the name of the show, Flashdance, will carry it and sell tickets throughout the country, and it could be that the critics in New York might have their nose in the air a little bit too much about it.
That's true.
And so why risk damaging this great title by taking it in and letting some critic in New York, go off on it?
No, I hear you. Or alternatively, there might have been a water shortage.
Oh, well,
that bucket of water, man, wasted like that, think about all the environmentalists and what they would say.
Oh, my goodness.
Okay, let's get on with this. So the Atlanta Journal said...
Can we cut that? Go ahead.
They hailed Flashdance as an astonishing musical spectacle, and it is. Michigan Live Television called it a super sexy blockbuster. So now you know what you're in for. Hey, listen, how do you get tickets for this thing? Well, that's simple. You just turn the page, Al. You go to surflight.org, O-R-G, 609-492-9477, And Flashdance begins on June 25th, and it ends here on July 14th. You got to see this one, and you got to see that wet lady. Steve, any other comments?
Not at all. You just reminded me that we end the show on Bastille Day.
Oh. And that's where you get your best deals in every store, right?
Bastille.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can we cut that? Thank you. Next time.